The Wild Card, a mysterious blue lock program that Ego Jinpachi made to pity strikers that lost in second selection. Now, today we are going into a more in-depth everything that we know about Wildcard and everything we kind of get about Kunigami and what happens to him after or right immediately post Wildcard. We don't have a lot of information on Wildcard, but we know enough to kind of deduct a few things from it, right? There's some things that we know for certain, and there's some things that this could lead to in the future. Now, first, let's start with what the wild card is. Now, as I just explained, I went to a little small explanation on what is the gist of it, but it's a lot bigger than that since we only get insight on Kunigami. But if you really think about it, the wild card was probably filled with a bunch of players and a bunch of competition. Now, of course, Kunigami was already good before entering wild card, so he probably demolished through them. But if you think about it, players like Naruhaya, for example, that get eliminated in second selection probably also was in the wild card as well. That interaction was probably interesting, but just going off of that, what I'm saying is there are players that went through this program and eventually fell off of it. But this leads up bigger gaps in the future, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later in the video. But right now, the wild card has the objective to make a player that has Noah's striker capabilities, his physicality, his ambidextrity, and everything around that area, right? Like basically just mimicking him as a player, right? So that's what the wild card's main focus has been cleared on. Kunigami tells us that it was a system or a program to make the player equal to Noah, right? So in doing this program, from what we're seeing with Kunigami ourselves, it shreds away the person's ego, makes them completely dead inside to be a basic robot, a player with no ego and just a machine, right? A machine that is equal to Noah, similar to how Noah is. It would make sense because Noah is also a very nonchalant player that doesn't show any emotion, and he's been referenced to be a machine, or he has no emotions and it's just calculated play, right? So the wild card entire objective for the most part was to make one player equal to Noah by forcing a player to have his physical levels and his rare god-given talent to be ambidextrous, right? So Kunigami was able to achieve this and nobody else was, of course, which is why everybody else is eliminated. But what I meant earlier by bringing up gaps in the story is because with Blue Lock building, or with Blue Lock and Buratsura's building, right? What I want to expand on is the fact that there are wildcard players that can enter back in. And I'm not saying that they'd be crazy, but I'm saying that these wildcard players are probably a lot better than the average Blue Lock player in the first facility. Like, let's say you're comparing a random Team Z-Bum off of first selection compared to a wildcard player that was probably lifting a bunch and trying to become ambidextrous like Noah. All of these players are probably way better than they were in the first Blue Lock, right? This second Blue Lock should have those wildcard players that were eliminated, because as we know, it won't make a difference, right? It won't make a difference because even if you were eliminated from the first Blue Lock, you can try again. But we don't have much information on the wild card, but these things we are certain on. Now, what I personally, my theory of the wild card and what we will be revealed to will be more tied and in depth with Kunigami's story and why he is the way he is right now. The wild card has kind of been played out to be this scary program that makes this player into a emotionless robot. But I think that's more tied to Kunigami's character than the actual wildcard itself, since Kunigami ended off his run being eliminated by Shido and his philosophy absolutely being crushed, right? So basically, this is a really short video. just talking about everything we know about WildCard and everything that can come because of WildCard. I do think the U20 World Cup will open up on Kunigami's backstory, and we'll get what exactly the training regiments and everything that was happening in the WildCard. We'll most likely get that in this arc, hopefully. It's just a lot of things that are unpacked. Like Kunigami, technically speaking, everything about him is a mystery since he's been out of the wild card. And I think if they expanded on this, it'd probably be one of the best arcs in the series. Although it is clear that the wild card can take a player from an entirely average level to a next level performance, right? Because we see Kunigami, last time we see Kunigami, he's horrible. Not horrible, but like he's trash. Let's like say compare him to the U20 players, he would get swept, right? And then after post wild card, he has physical stats comparable to Kaiser. Like that's a major leap. That's a major jump. So whatever they were doing in wildcard must have been so hardcore that Kunigami was basically just over everybody at the start of NEL. And that's just facts. Kunigami on paper is better than everybody in the Neo Egoist League at the start. And I'd specifically say the first 2 games. Well, no, I'd just say the first game. Just starting off in the Neo Egoist League, I think he was the best blue locker there. I'm not going to count, Kaiser, Lorenzo, Agi. I'm counting specifically just blue lockers, right? So, again, basically all we know about WildCard. I gave my little theories and all my information on it. So if you watch this video, you'll at least know what the gist of WildCard is and what WildCard was offering these players in kind of exchange for their bodies being absolutely destroyed in the process, right? Since even Kunigami said, being ambidextrous isn't something that you would just like learn without destroying your body, what he says to Isagi. And Kunigami was only able to do it because of the wild card pushing him beyond his limits. So that's definitely clear about what's happening there. So that's pretty much all I just wanted to talk about. Just a little average, just to keep the consistency up. Hope you guys are really loving the Blue Lock content. I'm just going to keep pumping it out, hopefully. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, wait. Also, if you like this video, like. If you subscribe. And if you want to subscribe. Also, you can leave a comment down there too, and just leave a little comment. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.